The number of ways you can receive an engram are almost infinite. But all engrams fall into just 3 basic types. Let's take a look at each one of them and see the different ways in which they aberrate you. The first type of engram is called a contra-survival engram. Contra means against or opposing. So a contra-survival engram is an incident containing physical pain and data that threatens or seems to threaten your survival.
Man, you're a loser!
The contents of these engrams cause aberrations that act as blocks to your dynamics and your basic purposes.
That was pathetic! You're not good enough and you never will be!
Imagine going through life feeling that regardless of what you do and how hard you try, you'll never be good enough.
I can't do it. I can't. I'm gonna tell him no. I'm not gonna take the promotion.
What are you talking about? This is what you've been working for.
No!
Why?
I'm not good enough, Carol, okay? I'm not good enough and I never will be.
The contra-survival engram acts like a suppressor to you. But you're being suppressed by something from within yourself, and you have no idea it's there. The second type of engram is called a pro-survival engram. Pro means in favor or supporting of. Now, no engram actually aids your survival in any way. But the data in a pro-survival engram seems to help you survive.
You can't relax. You gotta push yourself. You gotta push, 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 and never let up for a second.
Because the commands in such an engram seem to be aligned with your basic purpose to survive, a pro-survival engram acts as though it's part of your dynamic thrust. But it's an aberrated part that actually harms your survival. These engrams waste your life force by forcing you to obey irrational commands that your reactive mind thinks are necessary for your survival.
I got it!
A pro-survival engram causes behavior that's very aberrated,
Dave, relax, man. For God's sakes, it's supposed to be a friendly game.
and you have no control over it. Now, there is a specific kind of pro-survival engram called a sympathy engram that's the most aberrative engram you could have. A sympathy engram contains someone you think has rescued you or defended you when you were in danger.
She can't breathe!
That person offers you sympathy and protection when you're sick, injured, or in any way experiencing physical pain.
My poor baby. It's okay. Daddy's here. You're safe now.
And because they helped you survive, your reactive mind now thinks you need that person to continue surviving. In Dianetics, we call such a person an ally. The nanny who sympathetically fussed over you when you were hurt. The aunt who begged your pregnant mother not to abort you.
Jackie, do not get rid of it. If you can't take care of it, I certainly will.
Or the parent who saved you from a beating.
I tell you to do something, you had better...
What do you think you're doing?
To your reactive mind, these are your allies.
It's all right, baby. Mama will never let him hurt you ever again, okay?
And you can't survive without them. Let's take a look at a sympathy pro-survival engram in detail, so you can see how devastating these engrams can be.
You're still sick?
Take a common childhood engram in which you're extremely ill.
Cover your mouth when you cough.
Now, your mother is typically not very kind to you.
No, just play with your truck.
Oh, Mother, finally you're here.
My poor little boy.
So your grandmother comes to your rescue to take care of you.
It's okay. Grandma's here.
While you're feverish, she gives you a lot of sympathy and promises she'll stay with you as long as you're sick.
I'll stay right here with you as long as you're sick.
Your reactive mind now considers Grandma an ally. Her purpose to keep you alive aligns with your basic purpose to survive. So Grandma is now identified with survival. So now you need Grandma to survive.
How would you like a yummy peanut butter and jelly sandwich? Does that sound good?
And since Grandma equals survival, everything she says and does, especially in this engram, is right and also equals survival.
Don't worry, darling. Because Grandma loves you. And she wants you.
What's worse, anyone in the future who somehow reminds you of Grandma will also equal survival.
Well, of course, if she has that
The reactive mind is pretty stupid that way. So when you grow up, you marry a woman who has the same accent or mannerisms as your grandmother, without knowing why.
Darling, please. I am on the phone.
Your reactive mind can't tell the difference between your wife and your grandmother.
Don't worry, darling.
So it thinks your wife is your ally. And allies are sympathetic and take care of you. That's how you survive. But your wife is not your grandmother. And she's not a sympathetic person.
What?
Nothing. I just want to be with my sweet wife.
Well, we're talking, so why don't you go talk to the guys? Anyway.
Now, you need her sympathy to survive. What did you do to get Grandma's sympathy? You were sick. And what did Grandma say in that engram?
I'll stay right here with you as long as you're sick.
So this is your reactive mind's computation. Grandma was nice to me and took care of me when I was sick. I need my wife to be nice to me. Therefore, I must be sick. This is called an ally computation. An ally computation says that you can only be safe around certain people, and you can only be around those people if you're sick or crazy or poor or generally disabled. So your reactive mind turns on the same somatics that were recorded in that engram, and you become psychosomatically sick.
Honey, can you feel my forehead? I think I'm coming down with something.
It's hot outside. You're probably just hot. No, go get something to drink. Did I miss anything?
But your wife doesn't respond like a sympathetic ally. So the computation gets stronger, and your psychosomatic illness gets stronger, all in an effort to make her be your ally. This is the basic pattern of all sympathy engrams.
Bye, honey. Bye-bye.
Sweetie, I really don't feel good. Let's go home. We can rent a movie and snuggle.
No. I want to stay here. I'm having a good time.
The engram insists that you have to be sick in order to survive. And because your wife's voice constantly reminds your reactive mind of Grandma, that engram is constantly re-stimulated. So you get sick over and over again.
Aren't you getting up? You're gonna be late for work again.
Oh, I'm not going into work today. I'm sick.
Again? You're always sick. What is it with you?
I don't know. Honey, will you make me a peanut butter and jelly sandwich?
For breakfast? No. Get up and go to work. You're acting like a big baby.
This is how a psychosomatic illness becomes chronic. Chronic means it's either long-lasting or it happens continually. Any chronic psychosomatic illness can be traced back to one of these sympathy pro-survival engrams. Let's return to the little girl who fell in a pool.
She can't breathe.
Her dad came to her rescue and gave her sympathy, so he's her ally. The engram also contains the comments,
Daddy's here. You're safe now.
Her ally computation is Daddy equals survival equals you're safe now equals she can't breathe. So when this girl grows up, she has a chronic psychosomatic illness called asthma. The engram is telling her that when she can't breathe, she'll get sympathy and feel safe, and that's the way to survive.
Go back to the beginning and go over it again.
Now, the reactive mind is so certain that these ally computations are necessary to the survival of the pre-clear that it will not let them go.
I can't really feel it. I just feel like...
Therefore, these engrams will be the hardest ones to reach and the ones that cause the most resistance to therapy. And yet these are the engrams you need to find and handle as soon as possible. But there is a way to locate them, as you'll see in a moment. And that brings us to the third type of engram, the painful emotion engram. These are caused by the shock of great loss or the threat of loss, such as the death or departure of a loved one. The shock reduces your analytical power and an engram is received.
It's too late. She didn't make it. Your grandma's gone.
I'm sorry.
And while any loss is painful, if it is the loss of an ally, it will seem to you as if you yourself have suffered some portion of death. That's because your reactive mind has so identified you with your ally that whatever happens to your ally is considered to be happening to you. And as you've seen, this emotion of loss locks up your life force. So when an ally dies, departs, or turns against you, so much life force gets trapped in that engram that you simply don't feel as alive as you did before. Now, for a pre-clear to improve, as much life force as possible must be restored to him as quickly as possible. This weakens his reactive mind and raises his emotional tone level.
Let's go to the moment you learned about your grandmother's death.
Okay, I'm there.
Good. Begin at the beginning and recount it.
Well, I pull up to the house and I'm panicking. There's an ambulance in the driveway. And I rush over to my dad. He comes out the front door.
So running out the painful emotion from the death or departure of an ally will restore much life force back into the pre-clear, since these are the engrams which contain the greatest discharge.
My dad says it's too late.
She didn't make it.
She didn't make it.
Your grandma's gone.
Your grandma's gone.
Now, if the incident doesn't ease after several recountings, slide back down its sorrow track, just as you would with any other engram, and find earlier and earlier incidents on the chain.
That's it. I don't have anything new.
Okay, that's fine. Is there an earlier incident like this?
And here we have the way in which you find those hidden ally computations. The reactive mind hides those engrams well, since they're so identified with your deepest purpose to survive.
Yeah.
Good. Begin at the beginning and recount it.
I'm 7. I'm sick. I'm really, really sick.
But running out the loss of an ally can lead you back down through that ally's chain of incidents to the earliest engram on the chain.
And she says Grandma's here.
The moment when the ally first became an ally.
I'll stay right here with you as long as you're sick.
Reducing that sympathy engram will restore a great deal of life force back to the pre-clear and release him from all the aberration and chronic psychosomatic illnesses that engram has created. Ally computations are the first engrams an auditor should try to get if he can. And he can find them by running out the sorrow caused by the death or departure of an ally.
I feel like I've released everything.
These are the different types of engrams. Once you're freed from these destructive incidents, you can live your life the way you choose, with sanity, good health, vitality, and an enthusiasm for all that life has to offer. You'll find much more information about these types of engrams throughout the book. The chapter, Some Types of Engrams, gives 2 detailed examples of each to help you clearly understand their differences.